Hey, it's Jason. I'm back with another video. You may recall a few weeks ago I unboxed the game Lagoon, Land of Druids. Well, I had the chance to give it a little try, and today I will be going over the rules and some final thoughts. So consider this a review of the game Lagoon. First we'll go over some of the basic parts of the cards. Yeah, I just kind of scattered this all in the box together. The game comes with 27 double-sided tiles, a couple of bags for storage and play, a whole bunch of these cute little tokens, which we will put just out of the way over here. They are important for gameplay. The instruction booklet. Okay. So the goal of the game is to add and remove tiles until all the tiles have been played, and then at the end you look at the tiles that you've removed and the points you've scored, and you kind of tally up your score and see who wins. And it's a lot more complicated than that, but we'll get into that in 1 second. Okay, and now we are set up. So the first thing you do is pick a character. You have 8 to pick from. For this example, I picked the turtle and the firefly. I don't think there's anything that really differentiates, so when you're done with those, you don't need any of that. Each character has 5 little tokens. So the turtle has 4 little ones and 1 big one. The big one is called your Eldred or your Elder Druid, and he or she has an extra symbol and is slightly bigger than the other one. You start by picking 3 tiles. They can be random or they can come from the examples in the instruction book, but there is a little bit of criteria. You need 1 of each type. There are 3 different types of energy alignments. For simplicity's sake, we'll just name them by their color: red, yellow, and blue. So your starting 3 tiles need to have 1 of each type and what is called a haven. A haven is noted by that little symbol right here. Those are important because that is your starting point. So we'll put these guys into play. Any order, and each player places their Eldred and 1 follower on the haven. I should say you can only have 1 starting haven. So your random cards you pick from, or non-random, but you can only have 1 haven. Okay, so that's how you start. And now each card has a couple of other abilities. That's the type, or that's the elemental type here. That's the type of card it is. There's multiple types you can use there. In the basic set, the only one that is relevant is the haven, so that other symbol you can ignore. The symbol next to it is the set it comes from. This is the basic set. It has an L. Expansions may have different one. Again, that's irrelevant. And they're also double-sided. That'll come into play later as well. They have a type of ability here. Sometimes that may be that symbol, which you can do once. A symbol where you flip means you flip your token over to use the ability. That's called exhausting it. And if it has that extra symbol, you flip over your Eldred. Okay. So then any unused tiles are placed into this bag. You draw from them during a certain point. Okay, so the way you win, it's the type of game where it goes a certain amount of turns and then you add up your points at the end. You get points two ways. One, you get them from these seeds, and two, from the tiles you destroy while playing. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. You pick, at the end, there'll be a dominant elemental type. So after every tile has been played, the game stops. You count up the remaining tiles in play and look for their energy alignment. The most energy alignments is the destiny alignment or something like that, and that's the one you base the score on. So you get points for any tiles you destroyed that were not of that type, and then you get points for all the seeds you have that are that type. So there's various ways to gain seeds and destroy tiles. The strategy is that you want to try to look for your highest score opportunity and then manipulate the board so that you hope you finish it with that energy alignment. So there's a lot of strategy going on in this game and a lot of planning ahead, and it is a really complicated game. So let's see how a turn moves. You get this little cheat sheet here. Player turn, begin. So your begin phase is if you have, let's see if I can find an empty tile that shows one of those. So for example, this one says, during your begin step, you may discard 2 seeds. If you do refresh your druid, that stuff doesn't matter yet, but that's how you know you can do it during your begin step. The card will say it, and you have to have one of your druid tokens on that card. There's also one during your end step. So we'll put those back in the little secret bag here of mystery tiles. So your first step is your begin, then refresh, we'll get to that in a second, take actions and end. On your first turn, you're all right here. You have no begin phase and you have no refresh. Refresh is after you use a tile. Here, we'll just show. Well, like this one for example, it shows that turn signal. So if you would use that ability, one of your guys would be over. So the refresh phase, you turn them back over. Okay, so this one has no begin phase. So now we move on to the refresh phase, which we don't have. And now take actions. Your actions, you can move by invoking a druid. So if we wanted, we can move this guy here, and then we'd flip him over, but we're not going to do that yet. We can also summon one druid. That we will do. So we'll flip over well, let's see, we can do that at the end. You can do these in any order. So we'll start with an explore. Explore lets you get a new tile. So you invoke. That means you flip them over. We randomly pick one. And when we randomly pick a new tile, we can put it anywhere as long as it's touching the druid token we just invoked. So we'll just put this one right here. And then if you want, you can move him right there. And we'll do that. Let's read what I just put down. So this takes place during your action phase. It can take place anytime. Once per turn, to help you unravel a red, you may gain an additional yellow from this site. So as long as you have a token on this site, you can gain a yellow seed. So that's cool. When you explore, then, I'll just say it again, you flip your guy over. So he starts like that, you flip him over. He can move there if he wants, and you also gain a seed. The seeds can be used for helping your score at the end, and they can also be used for certain abilities that'll be on a card. So during your action phase, you can use you can go as many times as you want until you're out of free tokens. So I will also use a summon. Summon, you flip over one, flip them over. When you flip them over, you get another one. And they have to come into play wherever there's a haven. So we only have one haven on the board right now. So he comes into play right there. And then it's your end phase. So if you are occupying, which means you have a token on one of those spaces that have an end ability, you could use that then. We don't, so the turn's over. Oh, I forgot something. When you explore, you flip this over too. Whoops. So you may not invoke the basic explore action until this is flipped over again. Okay, so now player 2 will do the same thing, draw a random one. This random one, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. When exploring the site, you may discard a blue or red seed. If you do, refresh a druid. Refresh means turn them back over into their space. It's not something this would want to do. We'll have this one just go right here, and this guy will flip over and sit on him. So this guy will, instead of summoning or doing anything, he'll move, and then he invokes and flips over. And then their turn is over. Okay, so player 1 goes again, does nothing in the refresh phase, so now they do the refresh phase, and that's when you flip these back over. And you can flip over up to 3 of your other tokens here. So we'll do that. Player 1, I don't know what I'm saying. Player 1, once per turn, to help you unravel one of those, you may gain an additional yellow. So he'll do that right away. He's going to move there. And then you can do, as long as you have one token on a space, it's called occupied. So then you can do whatever that ability is, regardless of the piece. So like this, for example, says invoke your Eldred. Your Eldred does not have to be on that space. And that's what we're going to do though. Invoke the Eldred, and then draw 2 tiles rather than 1. Draw 2 random tiles. Hey, something I forgot to mention about the tiles. They're double-sided. You can pick which side. So you'll want to do whichever side is more strategic for your druid. So here, explore a new site, drawing 2 tiles rather than 1. Place 1 tile on a space adjacent to the invoked Eldred's site. So it has to be here or here. And return the other to the bag. Use only once per turn. Okay. We'll just put this one there. And then this one goes back into the bag. We have no end step turns. We still have 1 turned over, so he can do whatever he wants. And I think he is also going to do a basic explore. When you do a basic explore, again, you flip this card over. If you do an explore based on something in a card, like with that, you don't flip this over. So we'll put that down. This guy will draw a card. Whoops, draw 2. If you have no druids in your supply, you may still take an action that summons a druid. If you do, retrieve 1 of your druids from the board and use as the summoned druid. That's odd. Move the invoking Eldred up 3 hexes. Okay, that's interesting. We'll put that right there. And then he doesn't need to move to it, and he's not going to. He's going to stay there. And we don't have any other available moves, so the turn is over. New turn here for the pink player. Again, we have no abilities that say begin, so we'll, I want to say untap like it's magic. We'll make them good again. So this one, we'll have this one summon. So he flips over. We get a new guy. New guy comes in, flipped over at any haven space. So the character can pick. We'll just pick that one. And this will explore the normal way. So we'll flip this over, draw a random card. The first time during any player's turn that a site is unraveled, you may refresh one of your druids. Okay, that's not bad. And discard a seed, swap any 2 sites. We'll go with that one. So since I did it the basic explore, I can move the character there and he flips over. And now his turn is over too. And that's a basic gist of it. I think I'll do just one or two more sample turns. We haven't shown how to destroy a tile yet. So to destroy a tile, or they call it unravel a tile, you need to have 3 means of producing energy. Here. So to unravel a yellow, you would need 3 blues. To get these required energies, you have 2 ways to do it. 1, seeds. Seeds count as 1 method. So 3 seeds, you could discard 3 seeds and destroy it. Or you just have to have an occupied space. So for pink, so if pink wanted to disable a red, or unravel a red tile, pink has no seeds, but the pink player is occupying a space on all 3 of those. So the pink player could destroy this, unravel this. When it's unraveled, it just goes off to the side, and that's used for tallying up the score at the end. And I just realized I forgot something. I'll put this back for a second. You can't unravel a site, a tile, unless you have something on it. So let's just pretend this guy's on it. So when he unravels, this guy goes into exile, which means he just goes back to your pool over here and you can come back into play. Then you take this. If you have an opposing druid on the site you're exiling, or on site you're unraveling, you just move them off the board somewhere, and then you get the piece. You can actually do that any number of times per turn, assuming you have the qualifications. So if we had, say, another piece up here, you could do the same thing. So that's kind of cool. But that's about it. You literally just play until all these tiles are used up. There's a few levels of difficulties. Every tile is numbered. They have a 26A or a 26B. So one of the ways the base instructions suggest to make the game easier is to pick the first 21 tiles, and then the standard game is the first 24 tiles, and the difficult game is all 27, but you can mix and match as much as you want to just make sure you have one of each type, you know, 1 blue, 1 yellow, and 1 red. So then at the end of the game, like I said, you stop when all the tiles are used up and the bag is empty. Then every player tallies up their score. You get score from, well, wait. First, you have to figure out which color is dominant. So let's just pretend for a second that, I'll just throw out a couple of these. Let's just pretend there. Okay. Let's pretend this is the end of the game. So you look at a dominant color, and you find that by counting up the board. So this board would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow ones, and 1 blue one and no red one. So the dominant color would be yellow. So then you look at each player's hand of destroyed lands, not lands, destroyed tiles, unraveled tiles, that is. You don't get any points for any unraveled tiles you have that are that color. They are worthless, but you do get 2 points for each other one. So in this example, we would have, so he would have 8 points. And then seeds are the opposite. So let's say this character has a handful of seeds. So he would get 3 points since the destiny color is yellow, and he'd get no points for the other seeds he has. So what did I say in this example? This would be 8 and then 9, 10, 11. So this character would have 11 points because of all this stuff. I know this wasn't a full game. This is just kind of making things up to show the rules. So then this character would have 2 4 points, and nothing for that one since it's the destiny color. 4 points there, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 there. And that is a tie. No, it's not. Okay. If that was a tie, however, there is a rule for that. In case of a tie, for each tied player, count how many seed tokens of the dominant energy they possess and subtract the number of seeds of the dominant energy they unraveled. The player with the highest total wins the tie. If it's still a tie, then they share the victory. Okay, well that's fun. And that's it. I know this was complicated. This is a complicated game. There's a lot you can do with it though. As far as my closing thoughts, I have 2 criticisms, and I don't usually like to criticize games, but I do have to give the criticism of this that it's super complicated. I tried playing it with my 9-year-old, and it just, I know it says I think 14 and up, but its rules are pretty complicated. I think you have to play it a lot before you get into it. I will play a couple of solo games, and then I'll do a video where I'm doing a solo playthrough to give you a better idea of how to see an actual game in action. And there are separate rules for solo play. I did not go through those because I will do a separate video of that. And my other criticism, real minor, it's a personal preference thing. For some reason, I just never liked the type of game where you have a fixed number of rounds and then add up your score at the end. And I know that's a really common format. I'm in a playtest group where most of the games seem to end that way. The reason I don't like that is because I feel like on games like that, once you start getting to fall behind, you don't have time to catch up and win. And I don't feel like you have such an opportunity for a comeback, and it's just, I like more competitive. I either like a co-op game or a kill your opponent as fast as you can type of game, which is why I suppose why I made 52 Dragons like I did. Again, minor complaints, right? The game itself is fun, and learning it is really fun. There's so many possibilities. Like later in the game, when you're laying down a new piece, you can look at, well, do I want to influence the board by yellow or by blue? You know, that'll help you determine which piece you lay, or you'll look for abilities that will help you achieve that. You want to try to manipulate the board so that you have the color that you want to win, and that can be super complicated. I think you have to play a lot before you really get good at that type of thing. The art is amazing. This is some of the best art I've seen on a game. I love it. I love the stuff, you know. I just love the art. But anyhow, that's all I really have to say about the review. You got to try it. I will have my solo play at some point. But otherwise, that's it for this week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.